a barrel roll.
Welcome to the Know. I'm Ashley Jenkins.
And I'm Gus Sorola.
If you thought you were spared from the special brand of difficulty wielded by From Software's games in 2017, just for a nice little break, think again.
Yeah, we still have no idea what the developer of Dark Souls and Bloodborne is working on next, but a new interview gives us reason to believe that we could be getting a new entry in either franchise later this year.
First, we get the Mass Effect Andromeda release date.
March 21st.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And now, this. 2017 already off to a good start. You know, if you're in the market for replacing controllers, just right in fits of rage.
This news comes from Japanese publication 4Gamer, who conducted a series of Q&A interviews with a number of Japanese video game developers and producers to look back at 2016 and give some hints for what gamers should be excited about in 2017.
Two of the personalities featured in the pieces were some of Bloodborne's producers, Akirano Toriyama and Masaaki Yamagiwa. In Yamagiwa's Q&A, he stated that activity at the studios continues since Bloodborne and indicated that a new release in 2017 is very likely, saying it will be a fruitful year for gamers.
Fruitful?
Yes.
It's an interesting choice of words.
New series, Bloodfruit.
Blood orange. While Toriyama wouldn't offer any details about whatever they're working on next, he did say the new title is very ambitious.
This is certainly good news for fans of From Software. The studios managed to release a new entry every year in the Bloodborne/Dark Souls family of games since 2014, with Dark Souls 2, Bloodborne, and now Dark Souls 3 coming out in consecutive years. So another addition to either franchise in 2017 would actually fit with the yearly cadence they've already established, and you thought annualization could only be a bad thing.
Oh, good point. And it's not the first time they've teased our next project either. Last year, an unlisted demo reel from the studio that was uploaded to YouTube contained very brief footage that pointed to an unnamed game for release in 2017. Whatever it is, it's supposed to be multi-platform, and they're planning on bringing it to PS4, PC, Xbox One, and even PlayStation VR.
So you can be mad in 360 degrees.
Yay.
In a slightly more official capacity, studio boss and Dark Souls and Bloodborne creator Hidetaka Miyazaki confirmed at last year's Tokyo Game Show that his company is working on 3 new games all at the same time. As for what those games are, he only offered the vaguest of hints, saying that one of them is a follow-up to their mech franchise Armored Core, which is pretty awesome.
Interesting. He also said they're working on something that will fall more in line with fan expectations, and their last project is, quote, weird. So weird, in fact, that Miyazaki believes when we actually announce the title, probably fans will react with, oh, what the hell is this very weird game that Miyazaki has created? Ooh, interesting. I'm intrigued.
I'm very curious to see like weird by his standards. So thanks to that knowledge and these new quotes from Bloodborne's producers, we could be looking at any of those games hitting this year. Armored Core, new IP altogether, Bloodborne 2, or least likely, probably Dark Souls 4.
Miyazaki, From Software, and Namco have all changed their stories about whether or not there will be anything else out of the Dark Souls franchise in the future, but so far the consistent message seems to be that it won't be revisited anytime soon.
Yeah, back when Namco Bandai first announced Dark Souls 3 in 2015, they called it the series' final episode in the official press release, but then 83 From Software was like, JK guys, it's not the last one. And then later that same year, Miyazaki said to GameSpot that Dark Souls 3 will be the closure of the series.
All right. And then last year he was like, well, maybe somebody else at the company could make another Dark Souls, you know, if they really wanted.
Yeah, selling millions of copies of your last game tends to have that effect on whether or not you want to make any more. We'll just call it the Kojima effect.
We'll just name it that. Regardless, all that waffling probably isn't a strong indicator a Dark Souls game is coming out in 2017. It is possible, however, that instead of Dark Souls 4, the franchise undergoes some sort of evolution, the way it did with Demon Souls to Dark Souls, a new name change, slightly different gameplay, and potentially headed up by a new team member.
That could actually be really cool. That approach did have mixed results with Dark Souls 2, depending on who you ask. That game wasn't headed up by Miyazaki either, since he was leading production on Bloodborne at the time. It's sort of regarded as a down point in the series for some of its fans. Of course, it also has its loyalists.
With all that out of the way, it's much more likely that these new comments are pointing towards Bloodborne 2. Both of the producers involved in the interview were on Bloodborne and both work with Sony Interactive Entertainment, which means that whatever their next title is, it's probably a Sony exclusive.
Big surprise. Bloodborne's release in 2015 was a major hit for From Software and Sony. The game went on to sell 2.5 million copies worldwide, which was actually a shock to Sony at the time, who said its success surprised them. It would definitely be a big win for their lineup this year to have Bloodborne's sequel ready to go in 2017.
And last, there's always the chance we're looking at the Armored Core game teased by Miyazaki last year, or a new IP altogether.
Or just Armored Core. Yeah. The leaked demo reel, though, did mention that whatever game the studio is releasing in 2017 would be multi-platform, so that does make something outside of Bloodborne a little bit more likely. Miyazaki also said that the studio is focused on new IP after the completion of Dark Souls 3's DLC.
Either way, it seems like we'll either be enjoying or hating a brand new game that will find all kinds of ways to torture us emotionally and psychologically before the year's over.
And what more could you want out of this year? So, what do you guys think of Bloodborne 2 potentially coming out this year? What else would you hope to see from Software? Let us know in the comments.
And for future updates on Bloodborne, Dark Souls, and more, like this video and subscribe to the know.
From Software.
From Software.
What do you want from Software? That just makes me feel like I'm getting something really wrong.
Yeah. From.
I
had to like avoid using that phrase in the script.
From Software.
It's like,
Thanks, Gus.
Thank you.